Yep.
Okay, you're gonna hate me. Another unboxing video. We've just received so much product over the last little while. I just haven't had time, so I'm just catching up. Now, we've been an MSB dealer for 8-10 years, maybe longer, I can't remember. This is not a new product for us, but we recently sold our demo. I wanted to refresh it, and so I decided, well, let's order another one, and I'll show you what it looks like when you unpack it. So this is the MSB Discrete, and it comes standard with the Discrete power supply, which is a small power supply. I'll talk about the details in a moment, so let me unpack this first. It's been a long time since I unpacked one of these. Okay, so nicely double boxed. Oh, this is the remote control. Nice solid metal piece. So, there you go. Oh, there's battery inside. Good. Okay. So this okay. So really beautifully done. You notice this is the bottom, and it's got this beautiful diamond grid. And these are the new, what they call the Triton feet. So it's machined metal, and right at the bottom is like a rubber tip almost, kind of reminiscent of a stylus pen, if you will. And I'll show you what this is in a moment. So let me just put this on top, and I'm going to unbox the power supply. So we're going to need this cable, because this is the cable that goes between the power supply and the unit. And again, same thing, even at the bottom, it's beautifully done. It's got the same feet. This is of course the heat sink, and these little holes are, if you were to buy a second one, you can just stack one on top of the other. And at the back is where you connect this. And then this other connector goes to the back of the DAC. So let's just do that now. You need this if you're only using one power supply. So what you do is you connect these two together. All right. All right, so let me just plug in the power cable. Turn it on, and voila. So, all right, so the unit's powered up, and over here are your, let me see. So this is your menu. So you can go bright, and these are the different options that you can choose. Resolution, 8 times serial number, revision, reset, switch. Yeah, so switching, you have the option of automatically, the unit will recognize if you have a live signal. So for example, let's say using coax RCA and it's playing, then it will automatically go to that. Or if you have another signal, then it will go to that as well. Output. Okay, so you can use this directly into an amplifier. So if your amplifier has very high input sensitivity, you can switch the level to high or low, So if the input sensitivity of the amplifier is very high, then you may want to switch to low to get more adjustment on the volume and give you overall a better balance. On the other hand, if it's more normal, you might find that high might be better for you. You want to generally keep the volume control in the higher registers. So let's say for most of your volume between 70 to 100 or so, you don't really want to use it at the much lower ranges. Even though it's an extremely good volume control, I always suggest that you want to try to keep the volume rotations on the higher range for most of your volume. Okay, excuse me. So in other words here, just like that. Okay, and if I'm not wrong, yeah, so these are your different inputs. So let's go here, T1, so the Toslink 1, Toslink 2, RCA coax, XLR, and that's it. Now that's because I haven't put in the different optional cards. I'll turn it around and show you what I mean. So when you order a discrete standard from the factory, this is how they ship it. You have your balanced outputs and your SPDIF digital inputs. So you have your XLR, RCA, 2 Toslinks, and a BNC. Now, in addition to that, you have 2 optional modules that you can, module slots that you can put choices that you might like. So, for example, you can order the USB. You can also order the renderer, which I have the modules, and I'll show you how that works. So we're going to cut, and I'll come right back. All right, so I have in my hands here 2 of the optional modules. This one is what they call the Pro USB module, and this is called the renderer. So the Pro USB takes the USB output from your computer or from your server, converts it, I should say, to fiber, and then connects in here. I'll show you how all that works in a second. And this is the renderer. So if you just want to use your computer or laptop and so on as your streamer, then you just connect the internet over here and away you go. It's very, very simple to do. So if I tilt this, let me just turn this off so I can show you better. So one of the really nice things I like about MSB is how modular and easy it is to upgrade. So you notice in the bottom, you have these 2 levers, and when you turn the lever out, it pulls this, and this whole module slides out. So this is just a blank. This is just so that you don't get this ugly hole in the back. And then you can now connect this in like that. I'm just going to turn it upside down so it slides in a bit better. You go all the way there, and then as you push this in, it locks it in. So very, very straightforward. You can't make a mistake, at least you shouldn't. And so that's my Pro ISL Pro USB module. I'm going to also put in the renderer. So you can see this whole module is completely sealed, if you will. Just beautifully made. This is all made by MSB. It's not something that you can buy from somebody else and stick it in. Oh, by the way, look at this. It says MSB renderer, network renderer, and it says made in California. That's another thing about MSB. Everything is manufactured in-house by them in the US. And they've been around since early 90s, if I remember. Actually, no, even earlier. The original MSB company was around in mid-80s, and then subsequently the original founder, Mark Brasfield, sold it to the current family, who took it over, I guess, in the early 90s and has been operating MSB ever since. Okay. Okay, so that's all done. So now, in terms of inputs, I have the options of my SPDIF, so coax, XLR, Toslink. I have render, and I also have the Pro ISL Pro USB. I'm going to grab the other unit, the Pro ISL Pro USB converter, and I'll show you what that does. just so that I'm going to complicate things even more, if you just simply wanted a USB input, you could buy the USB module. It's not as good, right? This is much, much better. USB has a significant advantage over most of the inputs, and that is that the bandwidth is very high. So you can, if you have very high resolution files you want to play, USB is a very good choice. The problem with USB in many cases is noise. And so what MSB did was came up with their own proprietary technology where you would take your USB cable and connect it here, okay? And then it converts it to fiber on this side. It comes with this wire. This is the fiber wire. And then this connects just like that. It just pushes in, and that's it. Very simple. So from there, now, this cable can be ordered up to, I mean, literally a kilometer. It has virtually no noise whatsoever. You can keep your source away from the MSB, which gives you much better noise rejection, and you don't have to worry about interactions and so on. For me, this is the best connection option. I much prefer to use this than any of the other ones, but short of that, I would also go with the renderer as well. These would be my last choices, but these would be the first two if I could. So just going back, now that I've installed the two additional modules, you can see that it shows renderer, Toslink 1, Toslink 2, RCA, XLR, yeah. And because the USB is not connected at the moment, it doesn't show. All right, here are the different prices. The discrete DAC by itself with the power supply is $12,500 US. Now inside are two of the proprietary DACs they call prime DACs. And it's all based on their own ladder DAC technology. MSB has been making and designing DACs based on the ladder technology since 1999, so they're not new at it. In fact, you could argue that they are one of the earliest companies to make serious DACs based around ladder DAC technology. Fully balanced from input all the way to output, so it has very high noise rejection, and as I mentioned earlier, with the volume control, you can drive an amplifier directly. So if you have a preamplifier but maybe it's not that good or it's a bit colored and you don't have a lot of other sources and it's all digital sources, consider using this directly into your amplifier. You will find it to be incredibly transparent. Okay, so the ISL Pro USB input I mentioned earlier, it's $1,980. The renderer V2 input is $1,950, and a couple of other options that you can consider. As I mentioned, it comes standard with one power supply. You can buy one more for $1,450. So when you get that, then one drives the digital and one drives the analog stage. Finally, you can get a premier power base. The premier power base is exactly the same look as this, exactly the same height, and it has two outputs just like if you were to buy these two, except the performance is substantially higher. So again, one part of the premier power base drives the digital, one part drives the analog, fully isolated. That is $8,500. All right, so one last thing about MSB. One of the things I've always loved about MSB is how the factory takes care of you. When you buy an MSB DAC, for example, let's say the discrete, and you decided you wanted the premier, which is, let's say, $30,000. I can't remember offhand. Maybe it's $28,000. I can't remember. The factory will allow you to trade in your discrete at the original retail value that you paid. So if this was $12,500 and the Premier, the model above it, is, let's say, $30,000, you just pay the difference. So long as your DAC is still current. This is important. Your DAC cannot be an early generation, it must be a current generation. Generally speaking, MSB shelf life is about 8 to 10 years. That's quite unbelievable considering that the life cycle of a DAC, of a digital product, is typically 2 to 4 years. And one of the nice things about MSB is that because they write their own software and firmware and their DACs are so advanced, they're able to handle virtually any audio format that we can think of without any concern. So if there's any kind of a update, we just update it very easily. Okay, I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions, you can email me, info@audioexcellence.ca. I'm going to break this in, and then we might do a comparison between this and the reference DAC. Now, the reference DAC is 2 levels above this. So you have this, the discrete, then you have the premier, and then the reference. The reference gets to, I think, about 50 or 55,000 US, but I'm curious to see how they sound like and compare. I haven't had a chance to do so, so if I get a chance, I'm going to do that, and then I'll report back. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.